to the PrePost Film Review. I'm John Asquith.
And I'm Matt Stevenson. So for any new listeners, the way things work here at the PrePost is that there's two distinct periods of time. The first half of the podcast is going to be John and myself talking about the trailer for a film. We'll sort of talk about our expectations and make a few specific predictions on what we think might happen. And then we'll jump forward in time, and John and I will do a spoiler-free version of our review, so you can listen to that before you've seen the film if you'd like. Then there'll be a little break, and we'll jump straight into spoilers and check whether the predictions that we made in the trailer section were accurate or not. So this episode, we're going to be talking about How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
There were dragons when I was a boy. Where they went, only a few know. Our story changed the world forever. We did it! The world's first dragon Viking utopia.
Your utopia, maybe. Mine's less crowded and more... sanitary.
Hey, bud, wait up! Oh my God, he's not the only one.
She's a light fury.
Oh, sorry.
Did she just disappear? Wow.
Okay, we just watched the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, Matt. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
What are my thoughts? I'm excited for this, John. I've loved both previous films, kind of surprisingly so, I think. No, I never really expected to like the first one, and it turned out to be really great. And then, sort of, I guess, probably similar to the second one, and that turned out to be amazing from memory, though admittedly I haven't watched either of them since, well, the second one at least, since it came out. So maybe I'll be able to find some time to squeeze that in before I see the third one. But both very, very good films. So, you know, if this one follows that trend, then I have very high expectations for this. I think, based on the trailer, it doesn't necessarily... I don't know whether it will be as good as the second one. It doesn't necessarily look like it's doing anything surprising. I mean, it sort of shows us a new dragon world, the hidden world, I presume that's what it's referring to, which seems like visually interesting and something we haven't seen before. But the story beats itself kind of feel pretty familiar or pretty safe. And just on a personal level, I really dislike the pop songy trailer stuff, but hopefully that's just for the trailer and it's not an indication of what the film itself is going to be like. I sort of have faith that the film will be better than this trailer, because the trailer doesn't necessarily make me excited. It's my experiences with the previous two films that make me excited for this. What about you? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That the trailer itself, like the way it's been packaged and created, is not amazing. I think it gives away too much of the film in terms of like the overall arc and everything. You can kind of see where it's going. And yeah, that's a bit of a DreamWorks thing, I feel, is to put a pop song in their trailers. Like they've been doing that for a long time, and it was always a point of difference between them and Pixar. I don't know, Pixar might do it these days, but at least back when they were more kind of head-to-head fighting each other as studios, what always separated DreamWorks to me in a negative way was that they would lean into pop culture and modern references and stuff like that. And so and that's the reason why the How to Train Your Dragon films have always felt different and been really impressive, I think, is that they don't really feel like other DreamWorks movies at all. There's no smart-ass sidekick or pop culture reference or anything like that. They're just really well-told stories. So yeah, I, in terms of the trailer, I think, you know, it gets me excited enough, but it shows too much. But having loved the first two films and knowing that it's the same creative team and everything that's come back to finish this off, I have very high hopes, particularly as you mentioned after that second film, which really blew both of us away. And I believe there is a pre-post episode.
Yeah, there is.
That,
yeah.
And we just kind of gushed the whole time. And I remember saying, that was before The Force Awakens came out, and I remember saying, if we get a good How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, I don't need any more Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that may still turn out to be true, actually. I mean, this is a home run. It has the potential to be one of the best like new trilogies of the past few decades, I'd say. Not including Lord of the Rings, because that's incredible and nothing will ever beat that. But aside from that, I think as you said, out of nowhere, it's just sort of each time has come out and really surprised us with how good it is. So I'm really basing my expectations on that history rather than this trailer. But yeah, my expectations are high, really high, probably too high. I'm probably bound to be a little disappointed. But I think these films are they have such good messages, and the score is so beautiful, and it spends time with characters, and I really hope they can retain that stuff for this third film and end on a high note. So that's sort of my general expectation.
And I guess it bodes well as well that it's, I believe, was sort of always planned as a trilogy, right? Like they had that in their mind.
I think
whether from the first one, I'm not sure, but certainly from the second one, I feel like even when that was out or just being released, they were talking about how they were making a third that was to wrap the story up. So I mean,
and I have a vague memory that there were some story threads left dangling as well, like a villain escaping or something like that. I can't fully remember. I've only seen it the once. I'd like to rewatch it before seeing this one, actually. But there was some knowledge that there was another one coming for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, should we do our predictions?
Yes, time for a prediction.
All right, so should we start with opening shot? John, what do you think the opening shot of How to Train Your Dragon is going to be?
My prediction here for opening and closing is boring, Matt. But I think we're going to open on some ocean water, and it's going to be, we're like traveling across it, and then suddenly there's like a dragon like flies past really quickly, and then we sort of pan across with it, and we're like pan up to an island or something like that. That's my prediction for opening shot.
I was going to predict almost the exact same thing, like a flying low angle on the water or something that pans up to reveal the island, or some sort of establishing shot. But maybe I'll change it up and say that maybe we'll open in the hidden world. We'll get a glimpse of something mysterious that'll tease something that's going to be revealed later on in the film. So we'll see some weird, phosphorus plants and some crazy creatures or something. It'll still be like a little reveal, and it won't tell us too much, but it'll be set in the hidden world. Yeah, the dragon world.
I think that's a pretty good prediction, actually, to just make up on the spot there.
What about your closing? The prediction for closing shot. How do you think it'll finish?
I think, again, if we're playing it safe, it'll be a pull out from the island or wherever they end up, or I think it'll be a pan up to the sky, and maybe like Hiccup does like a little flip or something. Although actually, he may not be there at the end. That's another prediction, but we'll get into that in spoilers.
Interesting.
Not spoilers, in our plot prediction. What's your closing shot?
Again, I think it'll be. My prediction is very similar. I think it'll be maybe either. I think it'll be a shot of the sky. Agree that it'll be like a pan up to the sky, but I think it'll be almost similar to what you were saying about the opening shot, and there'll be like a whip, like past the camera of Hiccup. That'll be the cut to black. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I can see
that's
that for sure.
my prediction.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then the plot beats. I mean, the trailer was quite spoilery, but maybe we'll try and get some specific predictions in terms of what actually happens.
Okay, so I think it's going to start with them all living in the village happily, the dragons and man and Hiccup will sorry, it's not the dragon's called Toothless. Not Hiccup.
Fucking hell, that's embarrassing.
I love that. Like anyone listening, like imagined the human Hiccup flying around.
Well, I guess it does have that flying suit, so my prediction could still stand.
True. Yeah,
I'm going to stand by my initial. Guess
okay.
That it's Hiccup flying through the
sky. Yeah. That's embarrassing because we genuinely love both.
Yeah, we just talked about films. How much we love the films and can't even remember the friggin' names of the characters' names.
But we're going to leave that in, listeners, because we're honest. Anyway, I think they're living in harmony. I mean, basically, I'm just going to recite the trailer to you now. They find a female version of Toothless species, and there's some flirting there. They follow her. She goes back to where she came from, which is this hidden world. It's all beautiful and mystical, but then there's a bad guy there, maybe, he sees Hiccup and thinks, that's the last Night Fury that I have to kill. They go back to the home village, and he follows them back, and it looks like there's like a battle and a war or something. I don't really know where the hidden world is continuing to fit into all this. Maybe that is ultimately where the dragons go in the end. I feel like definitely at the end of this film they have to part ways, and you get an emotional goodbye between Hiccup and Toothless. And because it's sort of set on Earth in some kind of like the way Lord of the Rings is.
Interesting.
That explains why we have stories of dragons, but we never actually find them or fossils of them, or they don't exist anymore. So anyway, there's a big war. The good guys win, but then the dragons have to go back to the hidden world. That's my my prediction.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Though I mean, like you said, the trailer pretty much lays most of that out, so I think it's all pretty safe bets. I was thinking more that the bad guys are going to try and attack or infiltrate the hidden world, like to kill the dragons. They're going to try and get into the hidden world. And maybe this ties into similar to what you were saying at the end. They'll in some way have to seal the bridge between the two off, so that they can't get in there, or no one can attack them again. Interesting that you think that they'll part ways at the end. I think that's a very good prediction, but I believe like the opening shots of the trailer have Hiccup with a beard. And is Toothless there with him? Because if so, that would suggest that's like a time jump forward, and that they're still together. So I am going to predict that they don't get separated. That they seal the world off.
He doesn't have a beard for the rest of the trailer, does he?
No, he looks much younger for the rest of the trailer. So I think they're going to stay together at the end, but something. I like your reading that something tragic, or not tragic, melancholy will happen. So maybe it's something to do with the other dragons or something. Yeah, and I think, and this is spoilers for the first two films for anyone listening. In the first film, he loses a leg, Hiccup. In the second film, he loses his father. So they're not afraid of tackling things like that, and that there are consequences to what they're doing. So I know his mother's still around, who he discovered in the second film. Oh, that's right. Yeah. She might die, or I don't think Toothless will die, but some sort of separation perhaps, or something like that. Yeah. Interesting. Well, I think they're pretty good predictions. Yeah.
I have that feeling now, Matt, where maybe we've predicted it too well and we've inadvertently spoiled ourselves. That's the only problem with this feature of the podcast, you know.
Do you think too hard about it and spoil the film?
Normally we'd, if it wasn't for the pod, we'd probably try not to watch a trailer, or if you see it, you try and forget it straight away.
Yeah.
But now that we've analysed it, I feel like I'm going to remember all that stuff, and that we might be right. But anyway, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's find out, I guess.
Yeah.
Found my heart, broke it, made friends and lost them through the years.
Toothless has a girlfriend.
I've hunted every night, Fury, except yours. Hand him over.
I will never give him up.
Then I will destroy everything you love.
We are no longer safe here. We all have to disappear, completely off the map. We have to fight for their freedom. Come on, Mike!
You're nothing without your dragon.
Okay, John, so we've both seen How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. What did you think? Did it live up to our reasonably high expectations?
We did have very lofty expectations for this one, Matt, and I think perhaps they were, in my case, a little too high. I think I enjoyed this film a lot, but I didn't love it, whereas I loved the first two. This is the Return of the Jedi of the trilogy. But perhaps not even as good as that is in terms of the Star Wars films. I think this is enjoyable. It's got some fun action set pieces. It looks beautiful. Some reasonably nice character moments, but it's missing... For me, it was missing the kind of heart of the first two films. Even though it tries to get to some emotional moments at times, it never quite worked for me. And so, it left me feeling, I guess a little disappointed. I think it's a nice progression of the world, and I like that each of these movies there's like a little bit of time that passes in between each one, and we see like the evolution of this culture. And how the dragons have integrated with society. And it makes sense as the last film in the trilogy with some of the stuff that happens in this that we'll get into with spoilers, and where it ends up, I think sort of ties up things reasonably nicely. But I did find myself sitting there kind of waiting to be really engaged and really moved. And that just didn't happen for me. So it's not a bad film by any means. You can tell it's had a lot of heart and soul put into it. And as I said, it looks beautiful, but it didn't live up to my expectations. What about you, Matt?
Well, I mean, my expectations were very high as well. And I re-watched the first two films.
That's right. Yeah.
Like literally the day before I went to see this third one. And they were better than I had remembered, which raised my expectations even higher for this third film, I think. And as a result, I feel like I'm in exactly the same boat as you. Maybe even a little bit more negative on it, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's good. I agree. It's not a bad film, but it certainly didn't stick the landing. I don't think the first two are just so good, and the second one is such a perfect sequel, and it does so many surprising things. It really is like the Empire Strikes Back of, animated dragon films. Like, it's great. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And your comparison to Return of the Jedi, I think, is spot on. And I think even mirrors the way we feel about that, because I feel like I'm much more negative on Return of the Jedi than you are in general. Yeah. I think I would agree that sort of does a fairly good job of expanding the world, and I do like that, like you said, time sort of passes between each one. Just the look of the film in general is amazing, but I love the look of their their new getup. I feel like each film they have like some sweet new like tech, and now they're they're like kitted out in like actual dragon scale armor and stuff, and they just look awesome. And the animation in general, like, it's just a stunning film. But I mean, we can get into more detail in spoilers, but I feel like it's sort of some of the themes or story beats felt quite familiar in this. Like, it didn't go in any exciting new directions, really. And in general, I would say that it felt thematically quite muddled to me, or maybe just like not. It didn't have one focus. There was a lot of stuff going on, and it never really stuck any of the landings on any of the themes that it had. Which I guess, at least it has some interesting stuff that it's thinking about, and in some ways it's better to have too much than nothing. But the others were so good at having very clear, sort of interesting, well-developed themes that sort of run through the spine of the films. I didn't feel like this had it. Overall, I would say I was quite disappointed, as certainly my least favourite of the three. But
yeah, same.
I mean, it is still, I would say, a good film, and overall, as a trilogy, I still think it's a great trilogy, and it's like a decent ending to what could have been one of the best trilogies like ever made, and it's sort of, unfortunately, this kind of brings it down a little bit into just a really amazing trilogy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as you said, like, it's good that it is trying for some thematic stuff rather than just being, jokes and pop culture references or whatever DreamWorks might normally do. And maybe we do sound, I don't think we sound harsh, but maybe a little negative, but it's because we respect these filmmakers and this franchise so much. I don't want to say franchise, that's an icky word. This series of films that it's more obvious when it doesn't quite reach that bar. I remember when I walked out thinking that it felt like a good TV episode. Like, we're back with our characters again for like this week's episode, and they have an adventure. And there's something emotional that happens, but it's just another adventure. We're just peeking back into that world, and here's something that happens. There was, despite actually what happens in it, it doesn't feel like there's as much at stake or something this time around, even though, like, there is in terms of sheer volume of dragons and humans, there is more this time.
The scale of it,
the scale of it is bigger, definitely. But maybe that's part of the problem, that it loses a little bit of that.
I think I would actually push back on that a little bit. I feel like the scale on the second one is bigger than this. Rewatching the second one the other day, especially those final battles when you have those enormous, like, like the king. They're not the king dragon. You know what I mean? The alpha. They have those massive alphas, and then they like have this big battle on the shores of that island, and I don't know, just like visually the scale of things is enormous towards the end of that film.
Oh man, you're just reminding me.
It's so good, and the stakes are so high. I mean, obviously I don't want to spoil anything in that film because there's some, pretty unexpected stuff that happens, but it's that all that sort of stuff just raises the stakes even further. Like, it feels like everything's on the line, whereas this is, I don't know, it just feels a little bit, feels lesser. I don't know. Well, let's move into spoilers, John, so we can get a little bit more specific. But for anyone, I guess, who hasn't seen the film, would you still recommend that they go check it out?
Yeah, I would, definitely. I know we've sort of been talking about our criticisms a lot here, but it is a fun film, and looks incredible. Really, really incredible.
It does.
No one would be bored watching it. And I think if you've seen the first two, then you owe it to yourself to see how the story wraps up. And it is still reasonably satisfying in terms of the plot line and stuff. So I would still recommend it. But if you're listening to this section because you haven't seen it yet, I would, lower your expectations a little, which you probably will be after hearing everything you've just said. But still check it out.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's still they have a lot of heart, these films, and I love the fact that it is just a 3-film trilogy that is now done, presumably. Like, it has a very nice, pretty concrete end to it that I think is nice. So, there is a lot to like about it, and I would definitely recommend most people see it. But I would just say, if you loved the first two as much as we did, just lower your expectations a little bit. But it's still a good film, and it's still worth seeing.
Okay, we're in the spoiler zone. Everyone got their... I don't know, I was just thinking like spoiler jacket or spoiler helmet or...
Spoiler helmets on, yep. Good, ready to go.
Get their spoiler helmets on and we're good to go. So let's do this, Matt. Opening shot. I feel like we got pretty close on this. Yeah.
I'd like half points for each of us, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Right. So I'll let you explain.
Well, no, so the opening shot of this film is sort of like a low tracking shot across, or flying along the ocean, but it's a fog-covered ocean that reveals these ships in the fog that then sort of turns into a battle scene. As the kids free the dragons that are trapped there. So I think, that was quite close. We both sort of predicted a shot along the water. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, because we did the trailer section before I rewatched the first two films, and the first two films both open exactly the same way, and if I'd seen those before, I would have, my prediction would have changed. I mean, it's still kind of similar. They both open with the camera flying low on the water, but it pans up or it reveals the island, and the voiceover talks about the culture on the island, like they're both like mirror each other. So it's kind of interesting, I guess, that this film doesn't open with that, because after watching the first two films, I expected this film to open with the same shot for a third time. Yeah. But I mean, we both predicted like along the water, right? Well, actually, I think you were more accurate than me, because I was predicting that it would be something to do with the magical hidden world reveal instead of like bird.
Yes.
So I was much further away, but
well,
in a similar vein,
flying,
it's a pretty easy guess though, given the nature of the film.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to give us points for it.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So closing shot. This was kind of another easy one, I think.
Yeah, we're both on the same page here as well.
Yeah.
So the actual closing shot is a pan up to the sky after Hiccup and Toothless are kind of reunited, and they're flying on the backs of the dragons again, and we pan up to the sun, and then end credits.
That's it.
I feel like I was pretty fucking close here, John. Like, I first predicted that one of the dragons, it would pan up to the sky and a dragon would swoop past, but then
it would, like, cut on.
But then we realised I'd got the name wrong, so technically I predicted that Hiccup would fly past on his using his flying suit. But he was riding the dragon, and it was panning up into the sky. I mean, it didn't flick past the camera, but I feel like I was pretty close.
You were definitely closer than me. I mean, I still had flying dragons, and like a shot of the sky, but I don't think I mentioned that people would be riding on them or anything like that. I think it might just be the dragons themselves, like off by themselves. Off in the distance, I'll concede that one to you, I reckon.
Well, I think we were both close,
We were. I'll give myself like a bonus point, because in our predictions I said that it might sort of say something along the lines of, like this is why dragons exist in folklore and why we don't talk about them anymore. And it kind of did that.
It does definitely suggest that,
Yeah, it's like if earthquakes and volcanic rumbling, the deaths of thousands of people on the surface is caused by the dragons
by the pesky
underground.
dragons, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like they're just waiting to come back when ready to accept that
that's
sort
true.
of thing. So, that was pretty close, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think you get points for that for sure.
Yeah, thank you. The funny thing is that we don't tally any of these points, so they're completely meaningless. But I feel proud.
Still feels good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
All right. So, what about the plot? Did we get our plot? I mean, we thought the trailer was quite spoilery after watching it. Do you think we were pretty accurate in our predictions?
Yeah. So I think for the plot predictions, Matt, we both got pretty close overall. I think where we faltered a bit was with what happens with the villain.
Yeah.
I think we sort of predicted that he'd be a bit more involved in some ways. I mean, that we can use that in a second to jump into just like spoiler talk. But really, his motivation isn't a great deal in this film, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like my prediction that it would be more to do with the villain trying to find and presumably destroy or whatever the hidden world, and it really wasn't about that at all. It was about just him trying to capture this final Night Fury to give to these warlords. It wasn't very lofty villainous goals, really. Pretty low key, especially compared to the previous two films. I think, like you're saying, this kind of helps or lends itself to making the film feel less important or the scale feel not quite as big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he going back to what I said about feeling like an episode, like he feels like a villain of the week.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of gravitas or meaning to him.
Yeah.
And I think our other predictions were vaguely they all slot in to the film. I think it's interesting that we both. Well, you thought maybe that there'd be like a seal.
Yeah, they'd cut off
for the hidden world, and they'd literally then not be able to see each other. And I said that similar thing, that they would realize that they can't live together, and that Toothless and all the dragons have to go off.
Yeah,
and it's a sad.
Pretty
ending.
spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's close. But then the very end of the film, Matt, is your prediction about Beardy Boy Hiccup. And having sort of a reuniting moment. Like, that's pretty much how the film ends.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that prediction, actually. Like, melancholy ending, but they together. But that's interesting to note in the sense that was very specifically spoiled by the trailer. Like,
massively.
By showing him with a beard and then making, then it becomes quite obvious throughout the rest of the trailer that he does not have a beard for most of the film. It very overtly kind of implies that they are still together at the end. Which bad trailer editing, I guess. Bad trailer choices.
Bad trailer editing. Bad choices for the film for sure, because the whole film you're waiting for that moment, and it's only going to come at the end. It's annoying because it's I think in the trailer it's kind of used as a cheap shorthand to show time has passed between the two movies, but they've completely taken it out of context and put it at the start of the trailer. It works in that setting, but kind of ruins the film, which, I mean, is something that lots of trailers do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it particularly stands out because he does grow up each film and gets older and older.
Yeah.
But having a big full-on beard is like such a jump, like... That's right. It really sticks out and makes the progression of time very overt at the beginning of the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when I first saw the trailer, I did think that like for that shot, when I saw that shot, I thought, oh, he like that much time has passed that he's like quite a bit older now and like has like a full dad beard and stuff. Yeah. But then you do see the rest of the trailer and no, he's just got like a little bit of stubble and that's about it.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, pretty good. I mean, I guess props to us for our predictions, but also like it's a bit of a example of just a trailer that fucking spoils a whole lot of the film.
Yeah, it made it very easy for
exactly.
us. But you know what? We'll take it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's get into some more specifics and what are some things that you thought worked, perhaps? Let's start with a positive.
Even though we've been talking a little bit about the emotional impact not being as full on as the other two films, I did still really like the moments between Hiccup and Toothless, and I thought that relationship was carried over well into this film. And what the movie sort of seems to represent in letting go of someone you love, or watching someone grow up that you love. And Hiccup is kind of the adult in this film, and he's watching, his like surrogate child fall in love and want to go off and start a family and that sort of thing. And I liked that progression of their relationship, and I thought that was handled quite well. So that's something that stood out to me as a positive.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I've got a similar thing in my notes here. I mean, even just like to expand that out a little bit more, I did like most of the courting scenes between Toothless and his, like, what is it, Light Fury or whatever the new dragon is that he's trying to woo. A lot of that was, I mean, I do think it spends a bit too much time with that. Like, you almost get like a third of the film is just, in a way it's impressive. It's kind of like a silent film where there's these just two animals doing these weird
dancing around,
mating dances, which is like a bold choice in a way. And most of them work, but I think it's perhaps commits a bit too much time to that. But I would agree, like, there is one of the themes of the film seems to be this idea of, like, not just love, but finding someone and that you are better with someone else. Like, working with someone, it makes you a better person or makes you more successful. Though having said that, I guess this is a bit of an example. Like, that seems to be the case with Toothless and the Light Fury and Hiccup and Astrid or whatever. So I think that the Astrid stuff is a bit clumsily handled, right? Like, you're meant to think that the progression of them is realizing that they're better as a team, but you're only I feel like there's nothing really happens in the middle, and then suddenly there's just like that one scene at the end where she throws a gas grenade and then he lights it with the, like, that's their like teamwork moment or something. I don't know, it didn't ring very true. It didn't feel like they earned that, but I got what they were saying. But then like the flip side of that is it also by like the part of the point of the film is like what you said, it's about letting go. So it's about like sometimes you're not good together and sometimes you have to be apart. So it just feels like a little bit muddled. I don't know.
I agree with that. I think that a similar moment is the villain at some point says, don't you see that the dragons are like inferior to us and we don't need to respect them, we just need to control them, or something like that. And it seemed to me to be suggesting at almost like a inclusive versus exclusive kind of thing, or almost like a race kind of comment. But then the movie ultimately isn't that we can live together in harmony. It's that people that don't, like the dragons who don't fit in, have to go off and hide.
That's true when you think about it like that.
And obviously that's not what they're saying, but the fact that theme is brought up, I sort of clocked that in my head and was wondering where it was going to go. And then, ultimately it is saying that dragons / let's say minority groups are worth fighting for, that we should respect one another and stuff. But then that is mixed with what ultimately happens. So I mean, that could be me reading into it too much, but it's just weird that the villain says that. Why say that then if you're not going to really do as much with it?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think this is all just a good example of how it all feels a little bit muddled. Like, I mean, I think it tries to do similar things as well with all the other kids in general. Like, it starts with them, in the fog-covered ship, and they are kind of useless without the dragons. Like, the dragons are the ones that save the day. And I feel like that the part of their arc is meant to be realizing that they can be good without the dragons and work as a team But again, there's the first film is so good at showing the progression of like characters changing over a period of time when they start off hating these dragons and slowly learn that they're like actually creatures worth respecting.
Yes.
Whereas this is like it positions the characters at this point at the beginning, then nothing really changes throughout the middle, and then at the end, all of a sudden they have to work together as a team, and that's it. Like it's just like one thing and then another. There's no, you don't see the change. There's no progression in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up another point I had, which is that those side characters to me are just not very likable still. I never have really liked them, and potentially that comes from them being in the first film. Most of the movie they're like bullies, or like just sarcastic assholes, and they come around towards the end of that film, and then they're like allies in the second and third film, but they still have that design and voice work
like the douchey villains.
Douchey villains. And like there's a fair bit of time in this with the like twins and the I can't remember all their names, but like the female twin that like gets captured, and like she's so annoying that he like lets her go and all that stuff, and that's meant to be her character, but I found it annoying. I find them irritating. I don't like them. Whenever they get quite a bit of screen time in this film, I feel like, and I just wanted them to piss off and ignore on screen. Rather spend it with Hiccup, Astrid, Toothless, or even like Kate Blanchett's character, the mother. She has like 2 lines in this, right? She does nothing. Yeah,
that's true. It's funny because I feel like the second film does a better job with those guys, or at least with that female. I mean, she's still like annoying and they're almost comic relief, but at least she gets like this really interesting kind of like, well, not a love interest, but she's like lusting after this guy in the second film, which is like a funny inversion of how, films usually play the comic love interest stuff. And she's always like ogling his like biceps when he's like doing any of labor intensive work. Anyway, I thought at least that was quite progressive and funny, whereas in this I guess the 2 guys are still like falling over themselves to try and be with her or whatever, the 2 idiot guys, right? But there's nothing very interesting about it apart from that scene, which is more annoying than anything else that you were talking about.
Like I don't know what they could have done with those characters, but what they did do just didn't work for me.
I mean, even if we just, like I was saying before, saw some more progression about them learning to be better people and work together instead of relying on the dragons. Like, it tries to go down that path a little bit, but it doesn't really commit to it. What else you got?
Did you have any other positives, Matt?
No. Other positives. Well, I mean, mainly like little superficial things, to be honest. Like just the look of the film. Even like the design of some of the stuff, like the villain, his dragons were like genuinely quite scary, I thought, like, and vicious. I liked them. And even like, as much as we were just sort of just ragging on the villain for not being that great, I did find him quite intimidating in the sense that he felt like he was smart and one step ahead of them and quite dangerous. Like, even if his plan wasn't grand or it didn't feel like the stakes were enormously high, his character was quite menacing, I thought.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like, to the point where at the end of the film, when Hiccup gets knocked unconscious, and he's falling, for a second I thought maybe he's gonna die, and maybe like his sacrifice or something is what causes the change for the rest of the or something like that. But he gets saved at the last minute, and everything's fine. But I do give it props for that brief moment, making me think that something that serious could happen. And I think too, because of the casualties that have resulted from the
previous films as well. That's true.
It's
funny though that you bring up that moment where Hiccup is saved. I have that down in my like little nitpicks area because I found that very confusingly and weirdly edited or something. Like it just, I didn't quite understand what happened, and it's sort of like, I don't know, it just felt like it was cut very strangely.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I specifically remember just being confused by that. Like it felt like it was building to some big emotional moment, and then it kind of just like was strangely edited.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean. That it felt sudden.
Yes. I feel like there was.
I remember that feeling.
There was like almost they'd animated a part where you saw the villain like slam into the rocks or something. Then decided that they couldn't do it, so they at last minute had to like cut a chunk out of that rescue shot or something. I don't know. It was just very odd.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I remember thinking that as well, and thinking then that the villain's death was. Yes, a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's like weirdly off screen or something. Like you don't, not that you would normally see something. I don't know. It all felt very strange.
Yeah, and it felt to me too like that they were really setting up that he had this. I can't remember if it was like a gas or a potion or whatever it was that was controlling his dragons.
Right.
And he's like, this is how you control them, and it was like. Oh, they're totally going to lose that and turn on him and eat him.
Yeah, like right.
That's how that villain goes down because that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit disappointed that didn't happen.
Never went anywhere.
That he just kind of fell. He just fell into the water, right?
Yeah, I think so. That was the thing. They were falling from the cliff or from the sky. But I don't feel like you see him go into the water or anything. You just see him fall and then Hiccup gets.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Saved.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like if we're going to quickly just move into nitpicky territory, there's like a few things around all that. Like even the logic of the like trank darts. Like Hiccup gets shot with one and is like out, and then like a second later he's like awake again and telling like the other dragons to. I actually didn't even I've got it down here. I didn't even understand what he was doing. Whether he was telling the dragons not to follow them or telling them to follow him. I don't know. There was like he was like kind of talking to the other dragons, whereas like previously the trank like knocks them out for like a week or something. Week's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Like they're out properly for a long time. Whereas they needed him to wake up within like 2 seconds of being like shot. Yeah,
a story tranquilizer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
and again, even then, like. Why didn't he, like, the way he captures Toothless and then just, like, hangs him upside down for ages? Like, just put your fucking serum in him or kill him or whatever you're going to do. Like, why just have him hang there for so long?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I also didn't quite get the relationship with their, like, Light Fury. Like, I think it was implied that they had captured her and then... Like, let her go to, like, court him and confuse him. But I never quite understood, like, how much control they still had over her. Like, it gave her a weird, like... villainous vibe. Like, for some of the movie, I didn't know whether she was bad or not. Like... And I mean, that could have been a positive, but it never goes anywhere. I think it's just sloppy storytelling.
Yeah, because she... Was she... returning to the villain's lair every night
so
to get her.
By the end, I don't think so. Like the implication is she's good. No, right?
she was definitely. But you're right. Like I had the exact same thought that because she was a trap, that's why they let her out.
Well, yeah, that was the implication.
But then I don't know why. But she was also falling in love.
Yeah,
with
like
him,
what was the trap? Was the trap just that he would get all like flustered and like lovesick, like, you know,
fly around?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was definitely confusing.
I mean, there's probably an explanation in there that I just missed or something, but I as I was watching it, I was confused as to what the plan was.
Yeah. No, I was definitely expecting that moment where they've finally trusted her.
Yeah, and she turns. Yes,
seems to turn on them, but she's got this guilt now, and so she helps save them ultimately. And you know, maybe that's all kind of run of the mill stuff, but what we did get was just a bit confusing.
Yeah.
So,
also speaking of her like little invisibility trick where she like shoots the blast thing and turns invisible. I mean, it was like quite a cool visual thing, but it I don't know. It felt like a pointless It's like Toothless gets an upgrade every film, and this was his upgrade this film. But it was like it never really went anywhere. You know, like they never used it in a clever way. It seemed quite pointless. I don't know. I wasn't really into it, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree with that. To continue with the nitpicky
let's get them all out.
I found the ending. Maybe this goes to why I keep saying that I didn't feel that emotional in this film, even when they said goodbye at the end. I mean, that was the most emotional part. But then straight after that, you cut forward, how 7 or 10 years or whatever it is, and Hiccup has his family and they reunite with Toothless. And I thought, like, you're having the sad goodbye, but you're having your cake and eating it too.
Completely agree. Yep.
You can't have both.
Yep.
You can't have a happy, like, flying through the sky ending, and then like 10 minutes before that have like, we have to say goodbye forever and we just can't live together and this is just how it has to be. I found it like really undercut the emotion of the end to have that there. Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned that. It's literally the last thing on my list here of problems. It felt like a cop out at the end, like, which is a shame, because what was great about especially the second film, but probably the first film as well, is it just like it commits to its emotional beats that are often much darker and more heavier than what you would normally expect in a film like this. And this could have been like that. Like, it could have just been a proper goodbye, and then end it with like what you predicted and talk about him telling stories about these dragons that once existed or whatever, instead of actually just cutting straight to them like, oh hi, let's go for another ride, like just like it was in the old days.
Exactly. I think there's a way at that moment where they're in the boat and they first see Toothless, like a silhouette of him or something like that. I think you could have done something like that, where it's like, did he actually see something or not?
Like in the sky behind a cloud or something.
Still out there.
Yeah, exactly. Just a hint that he's around. But they'll never be able to see each other again. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, but they know. Like, it's almost like an understanding between them. Like, we know that we're still there and we still care about each other, but we can't see each other.
Yeah, that's so much more poignant than what they did.
Yeah. Like, just us talking about that makes me feel like kind of emotional about the characters, but it just it was a shame in the movie. I mean, it didn't totally ruin the ending or anything, but it almost felt like a studio note or something. That's pure speculation, but considering it's at the very end and it's quite different, and seems to purely serve that purpose of reuniting them, I wonder whether that was like a late addition to the
I thought the same thing. It's like they were told that they didn't want the film to end on a negative note, so they had to like add an extra scene that ended on a positive. I'd be very interested to know if that was the case. We should look into that maybe. But maybe speaking of ending on a positive, what's what else is there? Say something positive.
What else is there to say? Or did you have any other points before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I think we've sort of covered all the things that I had down in my notes, at least. I know we're sounding very negative, and I don't think it's a bad film. Like, I think it is good, and like, especially compared to a lot of other, animated family-friendly films, it's still head and shoulders above most of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it looks brilliant. The flying scenes are kinetic and fun. Like, there's a lot to like here. It's just the bar was so high.
Exactly. You're right. Like, if I think about, not that I've seen all the Despicable Me's or Minions or all that stuff, but they're like a dime a dozen, those kinds of movies. And like, how many Madagascars were there? Like 4
probably.
Or something? This is so much better than all that stuff. And as we kind of said earlier, like, as a trilogy, it's still really solid, and it does tie things up nicely. And I like, it's amazing that these 3 films exist. I think, and that they're as good as they are. And I think they will be fondly remembered and last quite a long time. It's certainly something I would like to show my kids one day.
Yeah, definitely.
They're like smart, well-made films with heart, and that's a very good thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good positive note to end on, John. I feel like I hope we haven't talked anyone down from seeing them. Like, if you're still on the fence, I think you should definitely check it out. But perhaps just lower your expectations a tad.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Pre-Post Film Review. We'd love to hear your thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Were you disappointed like me and Matt, or did you find this to be one of the better entries in the trilogy? Let us know. You can email us at prepostfilmreview@gmail.com.
Yeah, that would be great. You can also find us on Facebook. You can comment there and chat with us about the film or anything film related, really. We're also on Twitter. We occasionally post interesting articles or new episodes there at prepostfr. The most important thing, however, is to subscribe. You can just do that on whatever platform you're using to listen to us right now. And if you like the show, leave us a review. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. You can also follow me and Matt on Letterboxd, letterboxd.com, or download the Letterboxd app. And you can see what other films we've been watching and make your own little film diary there, and say hello if you want to. Join us next episode. We're going to be talking about the latest Jordan Peele horror film, Us.
I'm excited.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Fucking hell. There's a stinger for you.
Sneezy boy.